Good morning. Welcome back to ONV's A Financial Pillar. I'm Ryan Lepird, and joining me today are my guys JJ Foster
How you doing?
and sweet T himself, Terrence Bush.
Absolutely.
Gentlemen, how we feeling today?
Hey, feeling good, man. Hey, glad to be alive. Well, a good day outside. Not too hot, not too cold.
Sounds like it'd be a good day for you. You're golfing today, right?
I'm gonna be actually, you know what? I'm gonna be
Golfing or
working. I'm gonna be working 50-50 raffle. But yes, Habitat's got their golf outing today, so I will be a part.
Awesome. Beautiful day for it, too, for a great cause as well. So today we're going to jump into the banking world, right? And kind of discuss some of the different departments of the bank, just to bring a little bit of an understanding. Some of our audience out there that may not know the different departments that we have with it. So let's just jump in, Terrence. Retail world, right? That's the part that most people are familiar with.
Yes, I would definitely say that's the how can I put this? The introduction to the banking industry, the banking world, of course. Your retail department is where you're gonna basically get your first introduction to the banking. You know, open up that first account, that starter account, whether it's a student account, normal standard checking account, savings accounts, anything like that. Potentially getting your auto loans, personal loans, credit cards, things like that. Those are going to be the fundamentals for your basically retail relationship with your new financial institution, of course. But of course, as we discussed before, it does go beyond that. Of course, there are other departments that do specialize in specific areas. Just for example, you know, of course, the wealth management for those people that do have the larger amount of funds in their accounts. Of course, we do have business banking for those businesses that do need more particular attention for their relationship with the bank regarding their business. Of course, we also have the mortgage department, the commercial banking for those larger corporations that do need banking assistance as well too. So there are a vast majority of different departments that are designed to assist clients when it comes to their banking relationship.
Now, I appreciate that. You took that and ran with it. And you know, when I look at banks, it's almost like the library. You know, there's so many more resources than just books.
Yes.
You know, you can go check out movies, you can check out CDs, I guess, is that a thing nowadays? But, you know, just so many different things. What's the difference between retail and commercial?
So retail, that's going to be more on the consumer side of it. So that would be more of me and you on a personal basis. So if, you know, hey, I might need a new car. Okay, you have two choices. You can either go to your financial institution and apply with them to see if you can get an auto loan through them, or you can go to the dealership. The choice is completely yours, of course. But as we all know, for example, when you go to a dealership, they will run your credit a few times versus having your credit ran once with your relationship with the bank that you have. Now, that is more retail geared. It's more designed for consumers. It's not really designed for the bigger aspects of the financial industry. If you look at commercial, then you think of commercial banking or like commercial lending or anything like that. First thing that comes to mind is typically a large business, corporations, Walmart, Kroger, et cetera, things like that.
With your role in the retail world at your bank, do you cross paths with commercial very often, or?
So in the building that I work in, so like our private banking, commercial banking, treasury management, business banking, it's all within the same building. So I end up crossing paths with those clients a lot. There are also times where those clients will actually call into the bank themselves, and I do have to answer some questions for them as well too. So it definitely broadens my horizons, even with me being more geared towards the retail side of things. I do have an understanding of how treasury management, like the financial advisory works, private banking, commercial banking, et cetera, things like that.
Yeah, and just to clarify too, in the banking world, you know, we're talking about commercial. That is, it's typically a separate entity than what like small business is. Right?
Absolutely.
There's different levels.
Definitely. Yes. So
yeah.
even on the retail side, so we do handle some business things. Typically the businesses that we do handle are like those smaller businesses that are up and coming, so we can help them get their feet cemented into the new world of business, of course. Once we start to see that revenue start to increase for those businesses, of course, then we like to hand them over to our actual business banking department. They are more geared to help them increase the revenue until they're able to go to institutional banking, and finally, at one point, if it is a desire of theirs, to reach that commercial banking. Of course, as we know, each department in the financial industry does require certain qualifications to be a part of that department. You can't just open a business and immediately become part of commercial banking, of course. There are 7 fundamentals that go into
We're
that,
talking
of course.
commercial. We're talking large corporations.
Yes,
and
very
just
much.
things like that, not
Bare
small
minimum
mom
is
and
at
pop.
least
Yeah.
couple $1 million in revenue every year. So yeah, there are some qualifications that must be met.
That was my experience when I was in the retail world, as well as, obviously we did all consumer stuff, but we were also responsible for managing relationships of the smaller businesses and the startup business. So, you're looking out there to start up a business, you come in the branch, and that's kind of where, the beginning point is. But when you're dealing with these large corporation entities, we're not seeing them walk through the doors to open up bank accounts, right? They're
Usually
with
no.
commercial, they have a contact there, right? Those are relationships that those people are managing, that typically we're not seeing those clients in the branch, at least from the business standpoint, right? They might come in for their own personal banking, right? But anything business wise, they're going to the commercial department for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we would handle anything small business wise, from opening the new accounts to manage that relationship, outside of the lending. So I don't know if you do any lending on the small business side there, but that's where we jumped from, the personal banking into small business, or what we called relationship managers. They managed the startup and the smaller business entities that had lending needs, right? If they didn't have any lending needs, typically they were still with the branch.
Absolutely.
Right. Me personally, I didn't have a whole lot of experience. We didn't cross paths with commercial all that much. So I'm just now kind of getting an understanding of what exactly it is that commercial does. When I was in the retail world, what I really loved most was the business banking portion of that. But now that I'm in my role now, we're all under one branch, one roof with our building downtown. I get a chance to interact with commercial more. In my role as a private banker, typically I'm dealing with those more affluent clients, the CEOs of these companies, these business owners that started these companies as well. So I have to partner with our commercial bankers to manage that relationship. So I'm getting more of a broader view and understanding of what it truly is that they do, right? The lending products that they do there are not your traditional lending products where you're getting a 10-year term or
Yeah,
a 30-year
absolutely
term
not.
or something like that. Completely different, something that they're reviewing financials on an annual basis most times to determine if we're going to keep that line of credit open or that lending need open, or do we need to call it due, that type of stuff. So it's an ongoing relationship, to the point, I even had a client recently who is also a friend of mine who started a business and has been very, very successful with this business and grown it in a very short period of time. And when I came on to my new role here and was working with them, he's operating of the impression like, hey, I need something from the bank. I'm the customer. Customer's always right. And figuring some of this stuff out, we had to have a conversation at one point in time, like, look, man, like once you get to a certain level, when you're borrowing millions of dollars from a bank or asking them for these type of loans to manage the size of business you now run, it's no longer a customer's always right situation. It's now you got to start thinking of this as like a partnership with the bank, right? We're basically an investor in your company. You're wanting this large loan or line of credit, stuff that you need to operate and run your business, to grow your business. We have to be comfortable with your business, right? So sharing those financials, having these ongoing conversations. It's not always about like, hey, I just want this loan, give it to me, right? So it's also when you get to be a large business entity like that or running these companies, you start to partner with the bank rather than being a customer of the bank. Right.
Yep.
I don't know if you've experienced any of that. Or
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like for small businesses, you are initially still somewhat attached to the retail side of the banking industry until your business entity has reached that threshold where they need to be in business banking or institutional or private or commercial banking. Because once you pass that threshold, that's where you no longer initially work with the bank itself. You start to work with a group of people, and you will start to work with those group of people only for your banking matters. You won't work with the general public. So definitely once you go from that small banking to like business banking and commercial banking, you will have a set group of people that will handle all your finances for your business. There won't be anybody else. You will literally need to request a different person if that's the case. With that being said, that's because the relationship is so important. We don't want you being bounced around to so many different other people. We want one person that you can go to, one person that you're contacting for all your banking needs, because we are with you every single step of the way. We know where your business is at. We know what your business is going to be within the next 5 years. This is somebody that you're meeting with on a regular basis so that we are on the same page together, of course. So yeah, definitely with the whole commercial banking side of it, those people we typically do not see in the retail banking world, because those are the ones that are out on the golf trips or out with the dinner dates, closing those big deals like that, of course.
Truly is, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
This.
Going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's truly amazing. I feel like that is truly where a lot of that business happens, right? Commercial banking, they're not sitting around waiting on somebody to walk in the bank saying, I want to open an account. it's being out in the community, getting involved with things like Habitat for Humanity, and being a part of the community that where you're interacting with these people, right? That you're coming across those deals. It's crazy when I sit here and hear the stories, from these guys about how these deals are coming into play, how they find out about them, how they come to them, multiple banks bidding on these things. And it truly is, because I've had the pleasure, I've expressed my desire within my bank to learn more about the bank, and most specifically commercial banks. So they've allowed me to be on these calls where they're sitting around, many of people within the bank that make these decisions, and they're discussing deals. And is this something we want to be a part of or not? It's not something like, oh, okay, the credit's here, the income's this, okay, we're gonna get this deal. It's like, does this make sense for us? Does it make sense for them? It's truly putting together and structuring a business deal that's beneficial for both parties, the bank and the consumer.
Yeah, it's a two-part thing. I mean, it goes back to what we talk about, relationships. So like you said, and to Terrence's point, I know at our bank, our commercial bankers, they don't want to see them sitting behind a desk. You better be out and about, getting out, establishing those relationships. And then what you're talking about doesn't make sense for the bank, comes down to the analyst. They look at that, hey, all systems are go, both parties agree. Now you got a match made in heaven.
I got a commercial banker that's a neighbor of mine. I said that one time, or I was at his place of business, and I went there one time. I was meeting with somebody else, and he wasn't there. I was like, hey, I didn't see you at your desk. He's like, I'm never at my desk. He's like, if I'm at my desk, my manager's like, what are you doing?
That's all right.
You're not out doing your job, right? Your job is to be out in the community, out there making connections, right? Because that's really the only way that these deals come together and form.
Yeah. Then the other thing I'll say too, where there's, I ain't gonna say blurred lines, but where people kind of get confused, you have a smaller entity where somebody might just have an LLC and might say, hey, they want to buy some property. So they come to a regular mortgage originator. But again, if you're going through your LLC, that's not something that a regular MO would do. That's considered commercial. So, these are things that, again, just need to be clarified. Because a lot of times, again, somebody come up and say, hey, yeah, I want to buy some property. If you don't ask that question, you get all the way into it, and it's like, oh, they tell you down the road, and it's like, man, I got to walk you over to this department. So that's definitely a question you ask up front. Or, when if somebody that I know that's an entrepreneur, or I know they've got, several businesses, like, hold on, are you buying this personally or are you buying this through your LLC? If you're buying it personally, I'm the guy. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk about it.
So to kind of jump into that here, Terrence, in the retail banking world, right? You're doing certain types of loans that you're doing. You're probably doing personal loans, everything. Auto loans,
lines of credit,
unsecured loans, line of credits, maybe
student
home equity
loans.
line of credit, student loans, credit cards, things like that. But I come to you and say, Terrence, I need to buy a house. Help me out. What are you going to do?
Well, typically the first thing I would do, I was like, what is the purpose of the purchase of the house? Initially, with that being said, just to piggyback what JJ said, of course, you can't initially go through the same process when you're buying it on the business side versus buying it on the consumer side, of course, because that's basically you purchasing commercial real estate for your business versus you just buying a house to live in, of course. With that being said, if it is on the consumer side, I get in touch with one of my mortgage loan officers. They have
you're not doing it.
So no,
you're referring it over here to JJ, right?
Pretty much.
That's what JJ does, right? Yeah.
I do I can do the home equity lines of credit. I just am not a mortgage originator. They want that to be handled by a specific department. But if you want to refinance your home or open a line of credit on your home, I'm still the go-to guy.
Gotcha. So,
which again, a blurred line. People are calling mortgage originator for a home equity line of credit, and that's a retail. As Terry just said, that's a retail chore. I would be referring them back to our branch manager or somebody on the retail side to do a home equity line of credit.
So that's your department, mortgages, right?
Yes.
So talk to us a little bit about what you do.
Again, if you want to buy a home, personally, I'm who you would come to see. And we'd sit down and walk you through that process. Check on your debt to income, how much you can afford. Just that home buying process. We would start from A to B. If you wanted to do rentals, there's people out there that do rentals. Again, if you're doing that rental through you, that's something that still will stay on our side.
When you say with you, as far as like doing it under their personal name rather than doing it through like an LLC or corporation,
Correct.
Which a lot of investors try to do or set it up that way, right? If you're buying rental properties, a lot of times people want to try and buy it under a business entity, and that's a little bit different.
Yeah, and here's the deal. People will say, "Well, is it best for me to do the LLC or should I do it under my own name?" The LLC provides just a little more protection for them. Should something go awry. But again, if you want to be with a regular mortgage originator, then it's got to be under your name. And as Terrence said, there's just a little different level of of how you're gonna get approved. Like you said, I mean, they're gonna get a little more off into the weeds of things, so than you are pretty much on the other side.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I don't know if you know or not, but I know there's a difference there between somebody buying individually as opposed to buying under an LLC, right? Obviously, there must be some sort of more risk there because most, if not, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of banks don't do that way, right? If you come to me and say, I want to buy it under my name, we can do it. If you want to buy it under a C, unfortunately, that's not something we do, right? Most banks are like that. A lot of times you go to some of the smaller banks there, they'll have that as like a little niche that they do. I've never understood kind of that risk involved or why banks stay away from that. I don't know if you have any.
Yeah, no, like I said, ours, I mean, it's just if you come at me with the LLC, I'm going to refer you to one of our commercial lenders and get it handled. And then the other thing, too, it may even could be retail, just how we have a certain dollar amount. So if it stays under that dollar amount, it could be done on the retail side. I think Terrence kind of elaborated on that. But I don't know. Like you said, I'm not aware of what other banks don't do until you guys tell me. I just know how we do things in house.
So. A lot of banks won't do that, even on the business side of things. I know we do business loans and commercial property on there, but it's kind of those are a in between thing because somebody comes to you and wants to buy a residential property under a business name. So the banks could say, well, we don't do residential property on the business side or commercial side. That's a consumer or retail product, and the retail is saying, well, we do residential, but only if it's under your name. It kind of falls into a little category there, which a lot of banks stay away from. Okay. At least in my experience that we've fallen. I haven't worked for a bank that does do that. And the ones that we find that usually if you have that need, I've found somebody to refer you to. It's usually smaller banks that my guess is they're serving that niche, right? Because it helps to get them business, right?
Gotcha.
Smaller environment that they're having.
Gotcha. Yeah. But I mean, as long as things check out, I mean, everything's legitimate, why not?
Yeah. So we talked about retail, talked a little bit about consumer. We're at the mortgage department there as well. So what I do in private wealth is as a private banker, I manage the relationships of the more affluent, wealthy clients of the bank, right? Mm-hmm. The doctors, the attorneys, the CEOs of these commercial companies that are out there as well. So really, I just manage their relationship, the personal side of their relationship with the bank and help navigate them through this, right? So we were talking earlier about the importance of having a relationship and coming to, because a lot of people don't understand the different departments of the bank. It starts with retail, having that relationship with the retail banker there that when you have questions like this, you can go to them and they can help guide you and put you with the right people, right? So in private wealth, I manage those relationships. I handle all their daily banking needs and lending needs as well. So outside of the mortgages, the home equity line of credits, auto loans, recreational vehicle loans, personal loans, stock secured loans, which is an interesting one. People with money got brokerage accounts, their money's invested. They don't want to take money out of that because then they start losing money, right? We can place a loan or a lien against a certain percentage of their stock portfolio and put a line of credit on that so they can draw off with that as the collateral. The one big thing that I get a lot of time too is like, when you deal with people with money, what do they need loans for, right? Mm-hmm. It's a completely different mentality with people like that have money is that they're not just sitting there liquid with millions of dollars sitting in a bank account, right? To them, They're losing money when that's the way. People have money for a reason. They're investing it, they're growing it, starting businesses, things like that. That's how people become wealthy to get to this point, and that's the mentality they have. So a lot of times when somebody, let's use the mortgage for instance, they bought their house, they have it, they're free and clear, they don't owe much on it. To them, it's dead money. It's just sitting there. It's doing nothing for them whatsoever when they have ideas in mind of companies they could be investing in or things they could be doing with that money. So the perfect thing, one of the most, the biggest thing I did last year in my business was home equity line of credits, right? And it was for every single situation. It wasn't to consolidate and pay off debt that they had. It was to access the funds that they have sitting there in equity in their house to be able to utilize to grow and make more money with.
Yep.
Right. So just because people have money doesn't mean they don't need loans or want,
Absolutely
right?
not.
It's just a completely different mentality around it.
I was gonna say it's making money off your money. They get that, I think one of the biggest debates we used to have, or the biggest questions we had, was do I do a home equity line of credit or do I refinance? What's in my best interest? And a lot of retirees, just like you said, they're sitting there, has a nice portfolio, and how can I best utilize my funds? Which one is in my best interest?
And then, so that's kind of what I do in the customer base that I have, right? I manage a book of business of those more affluent clients. So it's to manage those relationships and grow that book of business as well. So I'm not sitting in retail branch. I'm not helping clients walk through every day. My day is, I got to find things to do. I got to structure my day with things that are going on, but it's also about being involved with the community as well, right? Being out there, meeting these people, getting in front of them, being a face, being a part of nonprofit organizations like ONV here as well. But with that clientele base, right, more affluent clients becomes unique schedules. So I'm there as a concierge type banking service for them. They have access to me 24 hours, 7 days a week. I'm typically not getting calls on Sundays or anything like that, but I always tell clients, you have access to me whenever. I may not be able to do something because it's the weekend or a Sunday or something, but you can communicate with me and just let me know. And then Monday I'll take care of it, whatever the case may be, but you have access to me anytime. You're on a beach and you get a text message about some fraudulent stuff going on your debit card. You don't need to call your bank and sit on hold with the 800 number for an hour trying to figure it out. Send me a text, call me, tell me what's going on, and I'll take care of it and figure out what's going on and what we need to do to correct or fix or file claims, whatever we need to do with it. So it's concierge banking type service for those that have untraditional schedules. Doctors, they can't just leave the doctor's office or the hospital or anything like that to come in the bank to take some cash out or to send a wire or things like that, right? They have untraditional schedules. So it's a little more lenient, convenient. We can send wires remotely. Just that type of service is what kind of
I'm sitting over here listening. I mean interrupt you, but I'm sitting here.
Private banker?
No, I'm listening to you. Hey, Terrence, we're gonna change his name. I'm gonna start calling you the Wolf. You the fixer, the Wolf. You ever seen Pulp Fiction? They call it the Wolf to fix things. That's what you just described yourself. That's it's all right.
Yeah, that's really what it is. Like I said, concierge banking service for those. It's just managing that relationship with the clients and helping them navigate through the bank. But part of private banking is private wealth, right? So a lot of times when I say private banking, people, you're doing the investment, stuff like that. That's not my end. I'm the private banker managing the banking relationship, but then I partner with our wealth department. The wealth department are those people that are helping manage the investment side of those for our clients that choose to do that with us, right? So the investments, stock portfolios, that type of stuff. A lot of banks, we're a full-fledged banking institution where we have trust departments, right? So part of the private wealth is trust departments where we can help clients get to that point and structure their financial lives, right? In a way that if and when they pass away, everything's set up, right, to pass to the next person. Or for those clients out there that, let's say you husband has done all the banking, pays all the bills. Wife knows nothing about that stuff, right? Their worry is when I pass away, my wife's not going to know how to do all this stuff, right? So they name the bank as a trustee. So basically, when that happens, the money's coming in, the money's sitting there, but the bank is facilitating paying the bills and giving a stipend to the widow, whatever the case may be, but that type of stuff. So that's another thing that the wealth department does as well.
Yeah, again, resources. Walking in, a lot of people don't realize that's an option that you have with the bank, and it doesn't take, as you say, the affluent. If you walk in, I just want to start up investing or whatnot. You can go in. The bank has someone there that works with everybody of all different needs. So
great point. So I'm talking about private wealth, which is a certain level there, but typically most banks have an investment department, right? It's more of a retail investment department, right? So Terrence, they come see you and say, hey, I don't know anything about, stock investing. Who can I talk to? I'm sure you have somebody there that you can refer them to, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number of people, actually.
What do those conversations look like?
So my conversations, so of course, the big three things that we look for, of course, they need to have the time, they need to have the interest, and they need to have the funds available for the investment, of course. So with that being said, those three things, that is what my conversation is going to be geared around. How knowledgeable are you about investing? And I typically ask them to rate themselves on like scale 1 to 10. Depending on the answers that they give me, I'm like, okay, so it sounds like you do need to meet with somebody definitely to get a broader understanding of what is available to you, of course. Then ask them what they're initially looking to do and for how long they're looking to do something for. So when I hear somebody say, well, I'm initially looking for something around maybe 3 to 5 years of my time. Okay, that's something. And then how much do you have that you are willing to part with over the time so you can earn something off of that? And then once we get that dollar amount, that is typically where, okay, so you're telling me that you're looking to do something for 3 to 5 years. You're looking to put this much away and potentially earn this much. Okay, so what I do, I take that information, I compile that over, I send that over to one of my advisors, and I let them know, hey, have a client interested in this. I'm like, this is what we uncovered. I'm like, what can we find that will be suitable for this person? So, of course, have to get them in touch with the advisor. Of course, that is another department that they want to handle things on their end, with me being on the retail side. So I kind of just get them over to them after I have the conversation with them, make sure that the interest is there, make sure that they are ready and qualified for that conversation. Of course, everybody's time is valuable to me. Of course, I'm not going to send you over to an advisor if you're not ready to do anything with them. Of course, I get them over to an advisor, and then from that point on, the advisor takes on.
Yep.
So I am one of those people that can have the conversation, but I cannot pitch the products.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Another department I want to talk about real quick is typically a department that the client doesn't ever interact with or see, which is credit or underwriting, right? I think it's important for clients to understand that too, because we're the face, right? We're dealing the customer facing, the relationship managing at that point. But when you're requesting a loan from somebody, we are dealing with credit, we're dealing with underwriting, which isn't always the most pleasant experience, right?
Not at all.
So for our clients to understand, why do you keep asking me for this stuff? Why didn't you get it from the beginning? You know, what are they doing? Can I talk with it? No. The underwriting and credit department's job is to be there to ensure the bank's success, right? They're there to make sure everything's going well for the bank and that we're underwriting good quality loans.
The
right?
big part of their job is
We're
mitigating
here
that
to
risk.
start the loans. We're kind of working on behalf of the customer. They're kind of working on behalf of the bank. And in between there, we're trying to come to rationalize and agreements of what can we do to get this loan done in a timely process that's customer friendly, but still provide what we need to the bank. You probably deal with this a lot on your end. You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I do. It's funny
That
because
dynamic there.
yeah, because just like you call yourself the concierge, you're working on your client's behalf with your bank, trying to figure out problems and solutions. Is the exact same thing. Honestly, I love the position that I'm in because you're right. The underwriters over here, I'm in it with the customers. That's the relationship. That's what I explained to them. Hey, this is what we're going to need. This is what we're going to do. And I'm just giving them a bird's eye view of, yeah, I work with this underwriter. I'm aware of what they're looking for and things. So I'm trying to give them that knowledge of little insights of what we are going to need, what they're going to accept. You know, they may or may not accept this, but if they do, or if they don't, this is what we're going to do. So therefore, when underwriter's words come back, we've already talked about it. So there's no surprises. I'm just that person, the middleman, the friend of the client that is helping them out to get that loan that they want. So, when you speak to your clients, I think they appreciate that fact. It's not like, hey, get it to us, and I'm with the bank, and the underwriter, hey, this is what we're doing. We're browbeating you. No, I'm letting them know I'm with you guys. I just had some insight working with this person, and I think people appreciate that part.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I think it's important for clients to understand that, because the underwriters and creditors are working on behalf of the bank. If we were sitting out there as a bank and giving out loans to everybody and weren't underwriting to the strict criteria that we have, right? Those loans default, the bank goes down under, right? Correct. And everybody wants their bank to be successful. They have their money with the bank, but they always want the loans, and sometimes they may or may not qualify for it. And without understanding that, that's what the underwriter and creditors are doing. Part of the bank to lend the money is there to drive business, but not at the expense of we're going to give out money that we're not going to get back, which then in turn, the bank goes downhill, and now your money that's in the bank is, right? Yeah. We're looking at FDIC insurance coverage at that point.
Yeah, and just to further elaborate,
we're managing that.
Yeah, right. To your point, I mean, there's some people. I mean, if you come to me, and we look at your bureau, and there's periods where you didn't pay this, you didn't pay that, and you know, they're coming. How come you guys aren't lending me any money? Again, as that middle person, you know, it's up to me to help them understand. I said, think about it. If you loan me some money and I decide I wasn't going to pay you back and I was going to go over here and take this trip and do all this, I had the money to pay you back, but I didn't. Would you feel comfortable lending me money again? You know, so helping people again understand and putting into perspective for them. To your point, the bank, okay, we're here. We want to get you financed, but it has to make sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
We're giving everybody loans and we don't get our money back, then we're not even going to be here to give the next person a loan, right? Or your money that's in your bank account, you know, you may have to worry about whether that's there or not if we're going out of business. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, that's all the time we got today. Great discussion on the banks, kind of different departments. Hopefully that sheds some light to our audience out there on the different departments within a bank. But the most important thing about that is starts with the retail, right? Start with the banker, build that relationship with the banker. And then when you have these other financial needs that may come about as you grow, that banker is there to help you navigate your bank, right? And get you with the right people and connect you with the way you need to be. So before we get out of here, JJ?
Yes, sir. Again, it comes back down to those relationships. We talk about it, relationships. Your bank should be able to navigate you. That's a great word. But before we get out of here, hey, financial literacy and mental state of mind, coming up part 2, September 21st, 4 to 6, Fort Wayne Urban League. Hope to see everybody there. Another great discussion we're planning on having. Going to talk about insufficient savings, impulse spending. Come on out, learn something. You'll see my team will be there and a lot of other banking professionals from around Fort Wayne. So hope to see you there.
Great event. We hope to see everybody out there, but most importantly, what I always love to see out there is the young people, right? If you have, you know, high school age kids, fresh out of high school, something like that, tell them come out, right?
That's
It'll be
right.
well worth their while. The knowledge is valuable. So, but until next time, I'm Ryan, JJ, Terrence. We're ONV. Peace.